Hello everybody, my name is Aiden and welcome back to another episode of Chicago Bulls Weekly, where we discuss the previous week for the Chicago Bulls, the ins and outs and the awards given, while also discussing what's to come. I would say this week would be called a disaster week for the Chicago Bulls, with a glimmer of hope and a shining light to come through towards the end. We had to wait a long time to enjoy this week. Maybe for some we didn't necessarily enjoy it at all. But before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls, the week that they previously had, and of course, what's to come. Are you excited for the week ahead? I think there's some winnable games here, but only time will tell, because our first game was against the Milwaukee Bucks, and I was very, very excited for this game, to be honest, and we definitely disappointed. We lost this game 112 to 91. This was the game where the Bucks shot 40.8%, I think, from the three-point line. The Bulls shot 20% from the three-point line, and the Bulls ended up shooting more threes than the Milwaukee Bucks. Very big key difference in percentage and efficiency, which in my opinion is the key difference as to why the Milwaukee Bucks won this game. No Giannis, no problem for the Bucks in this time out. Ultimately, I would consider this a disaster class. And you know what? Score-wise, this next game against Atlanta probably isn't a disaster class, but in the way that we lost, this is the definition of a disaster class. We faced the Atlanta Hawks next, we lost this game 141 to 133. And you might be thinking, you know what? That looks like such a fun game. It looked like everybody had a good time. It was competitive, no defense, all offense. So fun, right? Well, if you're a Bulls fan, this game was most definitely not fun, especially in the fourth quarter where we allowed 50 points to the Atlanta Hawks as they start to find their way in the NBA a little bit. They definitely found their way to the victory in the fourth quarter. The never say die attitude of Atlanta gave them that victory in the end. And you know what? As a Bulls fan, I am very angry with the Chicago Bulls for allowing that game to go to the point where it was, where we did choke the game in that fashion. But for Atlanta, I have to give respect where it's due. A team that I don't necessarily rate a whole bunch ended up walking in, or we walked into their stadium, my apologies, and they didn't give up. They fought the entire way and they came back. And you know what? That happens in the NBA. Comebacks like that happen all the time. It's just the time that it happened in the fourth quarter when we're up by a significant amount. Doing it in a quarter is ridiculous, especially in the last one. And B, the fact that it was kind of against a team that I don't necessarily rate that much. But again, they're fighting their way, so it is what it is. It's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster, and we should be ashamed of ourselves for that performance. But in the end, we talked about the glimmer of hope, the shining light, our knight in shining armor. Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is Josh Giddey, because he returned in that game against the Milwaukee Bucks, and he got a triple-double in the Bulls' victory in a 116 to 111 effort. This, in my opinion, was the best game of the week, and this was a very fun game in general, and overall, a victory against the Bucks. I think we don't verse them again, I'm pretty sure. I think we've already versed them 4 times. And we've tied the season series 2 apiece. You know what? I bet not many people thought we would be doing that at the beginning of the season. So I will take that at the end of the day. But you know what? As much as I'm talking about Josh Giddey as the knight in shining armor for the Chicago Bulls, I guess the guys to come in and make the difference, there's a long way to go. There's a lot more games to be played. And before we can truly get an analysis of what Josh Giddey does mean for the Bulls, in terms of the offensive end especially, it's going to take more time to digest that. So we'll wait and see. But so far, an impressive return. So 1 and 2 this week overall. It's just more the manner that we lost the games compared to the actual results. So with that being said, it's time to take a deeper dive into the awards given, ladies and gentlemen, the must improve of the week, the 6th man of the week, the defensive player of the week, and the player of the week in general. And there's a little bit of a discussion here, to say the least. So, look, in terms of the defensive player of the week, this one, for me, is quite difficult to give. The reason why is that I don't personally think it was our defense that got the job done. I know Milwaukee scored 112 points in their victory, which is actually a pretty good return, I would say, for the Bulls. But we did give up 141 points to the Hawks. And even in our win, we gave up 111 points to the Bucks. I don't personally think there is a defensive player of the week this week. I think there are a couple of okay performers in there. Lonzo Ball, for example. I think Patrick Williams did alright this week. From time to time, guys like Levine did an okay job throughout the week. But ultimately, defensively, we were still not very good. I would actually put it down to the other teams just having an off night, especially in that first game against the last game against the Bucks, I should say, and even the first game against the Bucks. Their efficiency was still rather disappointing. Maybe that is from our defense. Maybe it was a good team effort defensively, but I don't personally really liked or enjoyed our defense this week, and we gave up 50 points in a quarter. So for me, no defensive player of the week. I know it's based on one game that I'm kind of saying this, but at the end of the day, that one game was very, very disappointing, and I don't want to give a defensive player of the week this week. So, the must improve of the week. Oh boy, we can kind of list a couple of guys here. So, I'm just trying to take a look at the stats because I really need to be more prepared for this. I'm left with more questions than answers. For example, Julian Phillips has been good and solid all season for the Chicago Bulls, yet in these games he barely gets a lick of minutes. He had 14 minutes against the Bucks in the first time out. He had 6 minutes against the Hawks, I believe. And then he had He had 5 minutes in the last one. So that's kind of where I'm going to turn to for my must improve. It's going to be Julian Phillips. But it's simply because of the first game. I can't give it to him based on, I guess, 6 minutes and 5 minutes in the last two games that we played. But 14 minutes and 2 points, you could probably see it a little bit better with Julian Phillips. The thing is about Julian Phillips is that he's kind of a guy that can make an impact on any given night because he's a very good corner shooter and he's highly athletic. So he can put the ball in the hoop athletically as well. He can slam dunk, he can get athletic layups and all these great things. I don't know, it's probably not the best week we saw from Julian Phillips, but once again, I'm putting it down to minutes. Why is Julian Phillips not getting enough minutes in the last two games? You know what? I'm starting to think we have too many guys on this team that's earning their minutes. And you know what? That might be a blessing in disguise because, for example, Taylor Horton-Tucker, I talked earlier about him not getting enough minutes. And then even Matis Bazelis a long time ago at the beginning of the season, I'm talking about him not getting enough minutes. Too many guys, not enough minutes to go around. It's very difficult to kind of analyze it in that way, but you know what? That kind of seems to be what's going on. But Julian Phillips is my must improve. My sixth man of the week? We're talking about difficulties here. I really liked Torrey Craig this week. I liked kind of the way that he played in most of the games that he did play. Obviously, he's a big part of Julian Phillips not getting any minutes, but he did have some solid attributes throughout the week. And defensively, he's one of the ones that you could talk about in a positive light. So, yeah, I think Torrey Craig might be the answer for me in this time out. I think he had a couple of decent games. He didn't play in that first game against the Bucks, but I don't know. Maybe it's the eye test more than anything. I think statistically there are better guys out there than what Torrey Craig was, but the eye test, in my opinion, does mean a lot, and I liked what I saw from Torrey Craig in those two games. And the player of the week for me, the reason why, look, this is going to be a scuffed episode, isn't it? The reason why I'm giving it to Josh Giddey is because, one, we only won one game, and two, he made the world of difference. You know, I kind of like the story of the Bulls struggling all week, couldn't get a win, choked in every way, and then the knight in shining armor comes in and picks up, I guess, where we left off and had an unbelievable game for the Bulls to win. It's a good story, right? And I'm all about a good story. So Josh Giddey's my player of the week. At the end of the day, when you are the difference maker in a team, especially when you're in your return, I think that is deserving of the player of the week award. So those are the awards given, ladies and gentlemen. Now we've got to turn to, who do we have next? Well, hopefully in this time out, we can finally see the Ball brothers play against each other for the first time in a long time as the Bulls take on Charlotte in Charlotte. Not ideal that this game is in Charlotte, but I'm pretty sure we faced them already before in I guess, Chicago, and LaMelo Ball didn't play. Hopefully this time LaMelo does play. I don't necessarily know the ins and the outs of their injury report. Maybe LaMelo is out for a while. I honestly don't know. But I do view this as a winnable game regardless, and hopefully we can pick up the victory. Next up, we got the Washington Wizards. Washington, I think, have won their last couple of games, but all in all, they are one of the worst NBA teams in the league. And the Bulls are not. So you have to put that down as a favourable game for us as well. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. And then you got the difficult test against the Knicks at home. Normally the games that we have against the Knicks are rather competitive, but with the size advantage that they're going to have over us, I will question whether or not the Bulls will have enough to win that game against the Knicks. We'll have to wait and see, but that is my Bulls Weekly episode for you guys. I'm predicting 2-1 this week, as per usual. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.